When did the anti-war movement against the Vietnam War begin? In recent discussions about the Vietnam War, one question stands out. When did the anti-war movement against the Vietnam War begin? This topic has gained attention as people reflected on the lessons of history. Understanding the origins of this movement can provide context for today's discussions about war and peace. The anti-war movement in the United States started to take shape in the early 1960s. This was a time when American involvement in Vietnam was increasing. Although military advisors had been present in Vietnam since the 1950s, the situation changed in the early 1960s. President John F. Kennedy's decision to increase U.S. advisory roles around 1961 marked a turning point. By the mid-1960s, the number of American troops in Vietnam rose sharply. This surge in military presence led to growing public awareness and concern. The draft and the increasing number of casualties contributed to rising dissent among the American people. Early protests were often led by students, intellectuals, and some veterans. They questioned the purpose and morality of the war. For instance, by the end of 1964, there were about 23,000 American advisors in Vietnam. This expanding military presence fueled skepticism and resistance among the public. One notable form of resistance was draft evasion. Tens of thousands of young Americans fled to countries like Canada to avoid conscription. Public demonstrations began to take place across the country. These protests reflected a growing sentiment against the war. By 1970, international opposition was also evident, with protests occurring in places like Vancouver. The anti-war movement gained momentum throughout the 1960s. It became a major force by the late 1960s and early 1970s. In summary, the anti-war movement began in the early 1960s. It gained traction as U.S. military involvement intensified. The human and political costs became more apparent to the American public. Understanding this history can help us reflect on current events and the ongoing discussions about war and peace today.